So child's pose, bring your big toes to touch and your knees out wide. A great modification for child's pose is to bring your knees together or use a block under your chest or forehead. Take a deep breath in, Ujjayi. And Ujjayi is in through the nose and then out through your nose audibly. Breathe in and breathe out. Spread your fingers out wide on your mat. And pull the pit of your belly in and up. That space right below your belly button. Rise up to downward facing dog. So in downward facing dog, make your body into an upside down V. And a great way to modify down dog is being on your hands and knees. Press your heels towards the floor and bend your knees slightly. A tiny bend might feel good, maybe a really deep bend. And same thing with your elbows. Notice if they're locked out, just a little space, really good, Rachel. With that space in your elbows, press down into your hands. Ujjayi breath. Look forward between your hands. Walk to your hands to ragdoll pose. So for ragdoll, place your feet at hip distance apart and your feet at 12 o'clock, both facing the front of your mat. Press down to the four corners of your feet, so the very center of your heel, the base of your big toe and pinky toe. Soften your knees and hug your outer shins in. Breathe. Tilt your tailbone high to the ceiling. Release your arms. Extended mountain pose. Press down to the floor. Keep action in your legs. Then tilt your tailbone towards the floor. Lift the front of your pelvis up. Ujjayi breath. Pull your shoulders together. And now drishti. It's your gaze. Set your eyes to one point of focus. If looking up feels good, look up. That might be that you look straight forward. Breathe in. Let it out. Get the tailbone down, front of your pelvis up. Really pull your belly in. Really great. Amazing, you guys. Bring your hands to your heart. One Om. Breathe in. Extended mountain pose. Breathe in. Bow forward. Breathe out. Soften your knees as you go down. Halfway lift, hold. So halfway lift, bring your back flat as much as you can. And for some of you, you might have a deeper bend in your knees. That's perfect. Hands can be at your shins, your thighs for support, or you can take them to the floor if you have like more flexibility and long arms. That works too. Pull your shoulder blades up and in. Lift your belly up towards your spine. Perfect, Jody. Take a breath in. Bow forward. Halfway lift, breathe in, shoulders together on your back. High plank, keep your flat back. So high plank, the perfect time in class to really listen to your body. Elizabeth has her knees down, Rachel, right? This is what works for them to support, especially like low back pain. Your knees on the mat are gonna be perfect. Okay, so pull your belly in. No matter what modification you take, that is something. Your core, you can always lock up and in. Drishti, set it slightly forward. And this is perfect. So the back of your ears, imagine someone's here pulling the top of your head back just a bit. That way your spine is in line with your neck. Breathe in. Shift forward. Lower all the way to the floor, belly to the mat. Cobra pose. So to untuck your toes, press the tops of your feet down into the floor. Lift your chest up. The other option here is upward facing dog. Elizabeth's taking that. So that is straight arms, lower body off the floor. Cobra here, Jody's got it. Bent elbows, body on the mat. Reach the crown of your head up, inhale. Stay and breathe out. Another alternative here is cow pose. This is what Rachel's doing. Breathe in. Downward dog, lift your hips, go up and back. Nice work. So we'll do one more vinyasa and watch these bodies for the different modifications they take. In high plank, We'll go and work on low plank as well and through the back bend, okay? So breathe in, everyone. Breathe out. Shift over high plank. Exhale, low plank. Up dog or cobra, breathe in. Downward facing dog, exhale. So that's the Vinyasa flow. Breathe in. Breathe out. High plank, inhale. Eyes forward, drishti. Low plank, exhale. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. The Ujjayi breath here. So the beauty of the Vinyasa in a class, that even if the teacher is saying specific poses, you have the ability to modify the way these guys did, just whenever you need to, okay? And there might be something that you do that's different than what they're doing, and that's great, like create and discover it for yourself. The sun salutation A, lift your heels up, breathe in, bend your knees, look between your hands, step or hop your feet. I want different versions of that. Halfway lift, inhale. Bow forward, exhale. Mountain pose, inhale, drishti. Bow forward, exhale. Halfway lift, drishti. High to low plank. So now they go back to low plank. Upward facing dog, inhale. Downward facing dog. Let's check out that transition. So you guys just step to the top of your mat. So the transition between your halfway lift down to the floor, you can hop back, you can step back. If you hop back, you go straight to chaturanga instead of hopping back to straight arms. So take a big breath in, halfway lift, watch the bodies, high to low plank. All different versions, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Breathe in, Ujjayi through the nose, breathe out. Rise up high on your toes, inhale. Bend your knees, look forward, step or hop. Halfway lift, soften your knees. Bow forward. Mountain pose, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Halfway lift, flat back. High to low plank, breathe out. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe in. Press your hands down to the floor, breathe out. Lift your toes off the floor. Oh, just your toes this time? Yeah, lift your toes up. Spread your toes out in the air, as far away as you can. Really get in there, spreading the webbing. Now soften your knees a bit. Soften your knees, press your heels towards the floor, soften your toes to the floor. Inhale, rise up high on your toes now, good base. Bend your knees, look forward, step or hop. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Chair pose. Okay, chair pose, amazing. Okay, you can take chair pose with your foundation, big toes touching, or you can step out so your heels are right underneath your hip points. Okay, whatever feels best on your hips and knees. Now tilt your tailbone towards the floor. Sink your hips toward the back of your mat. So your back is like a slope here, floating down towards the floor. Not really floating because there's a lot of work happening in chair pose, right guys? Press your heels down into the floor, and without physically moving them away, like part apart, press them down and then away from each other as a way to light up your legs and create internal rotation. When you do that, when you get your foundation in a pose, it doesn't really matter how low you go, right? If your chair's here, right? If you're not pressing into the floor and engaging skin to muscle to bone, yeah, it doesn't matter actually how it looks. So as long as you're into your feet, lift your toes up, soften them and spread them in the air. They're like, how long are you going to hold me? Take a big breath, you guys. Bow forward. Halfway lift. Remember that softness in your knees. High to low plank, breathe out. Up dog, lift the center of your chest towards the ceiling. Downward facing dog, hips to high. Warrior one, right side. So right foot at 12 o'clock. That means it's facing straight forward, and the back heel down, and turn your back toes to any angle that feels good on your knee joint. You can even soften a little bit in your back knee. And go for a 90-degree angle in your front leg, sinking down nice and low. Light up your thighs by hugging skin into muscle to bone. Pull your right hip back and your left hip forward. The perfect modification for any pose where your arms are above your head, right? If you've got shoulder or neck stuff, Rachel's doing it here. This is what it looks like from the front. It's a really great supportive way to still keep your shoulders together and integrated. Okay? You can also do hands to heart center as another option. Another drishti is on point. Right? Focus on one thing. Breathe in. Sink a tad bit lower. Breathe in, go back. High little plank, exhale. Upward facing dog, lift. Downward facing dog, breathe out. Warrior one, left side. You may notice, especially as a beginner, that it feels different depending on what foot's forward or where you're putting your weight. That's totally normal, and it doesn't actually only apply to beginners. Even myself, like some days I'm like, whoa, this feels really different. So you may change the position of your feet. Ideally in Warrior One, you're looking for heels either in alignment with each other or slightly apart, like hip distance. Sink down into your lunge. Press the center of your left heel down. Tilt your tailbone toward the floor, lift the front of your pelvis. Nice, Rick. If you come a little lower, come a little lower. Yeah. Breathe in. Through your nose, breathe out. Reach up and back, breathe in. High little plank. Upward facing dog, press your hands down. Downward facing dog, exhale. Deep breath in. Breathe it out. Okay, sun salutation B is just what happened here. Just a little slower than one breath per movement, which is what we're moving into now. And it's really important that you go with your own breath, no matter what the people around you are doing, the cues of the teacher. If your breath is a little bit longer or shorter than someone else in the room, it actually doesn't matter. Just honor your own practice, and you'll find more and more you'll get in sync with the people around you, the more present you get in your body with your Ujjayi breath. Lift your heels up, inhale. Bend your knees, look forward, step or hop. Halfway lift, forward fold. Chair pose, one breath in, bow forward, breathe out. Halfway up, flat back, high to low plank, exhale. Upward facing dog, press the tops of your feet to the floor. Downward dog, breathe out. Warrior one, right side, breathe in, fill up. Flow down, low plank. Upward dog, downward facing dog. Warrior one, left side, breathe in. Lower down, low plank. Upward dog, look at one point. Downward dog, breathe out. Soften your elbows and soften your knees. Drop your head so there's no tension in your neck. And the only action that's here is in the floor, your foundation, hands and feet, and then your core. So draw your low belly up and in. Tilt your tailbone towards the ceiling. You see that? It's a tiny little movement, but it makes a huge difference. Lift your heels up, inhale. Bend your knees, look forward, step or float. Halfway lift. Bow forward. Chair pose, breathe in, spread out your fingers. Bow forward, breathe out. Halfway up, inhale, drishti. High to low plank, exhale. Upward facing dog. Hold the pit of your belly up and in. Down dog, exhale. Warrior one, right side. Inhale up. Low plank, breathe out. Upward dog. Downward facing dog. Left side, warrior one. Press down into your feet, rise. Low plank. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And take a peek up at your hands. When we move from Vinyasa to up and down, it tends that the hands start to go out or in. Take your pointer finger, right? Your pointer finger straight at 12 o'clock. Then spread out all of your other hand fingers from there. And then press down at the base of your pointer finger and your thumb. Ujjayi breath. Raise high on your toes, inhale. Bend your knees, look forward, step or hop. Halfway lift, belly up and in. Bow forward, breathe out. Chair pose, tilt your tailbone toward the floor. Forward fold, breathe out. Halfway lift, inhale. High to low plank, exhale. Upward dog, reach up. Downward facing dog, exhale. Stay. Three-legged dog, right side. Straighten your legs as much as possible and create an inward rotation in your right thigh. So yeah, perfect, right? Draw your right hip down towards the floor. And press your heels straight up and back. You're pressing into a wall. Yeah, he's working. Now the opposite of closed hip is an open hip. So bend your knee towards, or bend your knee so your heel comes to your glute, stack your hips. So you'll notice these ladies here, they have a knee down. Perfect. Squeeze in, pull your core up and in, flip your dog. So Rick and Jody, they just took their right foot back behind them, flipped, and they're here, head hanging back, lift your right arm back. These ladies are staying in their version of three-legged dog, which is a really perfect pose to be in, while other people in the class are in three-legged dog, okay? Squeeze your heels towards your glute, ladies, and then you two press your feet into the floor, come back around, high plank. High plank, settle, breathe. Bring your feet together, side plank with your right hand down towards the floor, so face the back of the room. With your feet here, you can stagger your feet like Rick, side to side. And Jody's either stacking and she's lifting a leg here. Down here, we have knees down on the floor. Again, perfect modification if it's too much to lift your body weight up, like especially on your shoulder, on whatever is your stabilizing arm. Drishti now, take your eyes up toward the ceiling. If that doesn't work for you, just be purposeful looking in one place. Breathe in, breathe out. Lift your hips one more inch, breathe in. High low plank, breathe out. Upward facing dog, inhale. Down dog, breathe out. Three-legged left side. Left leg up. You'll see Rachel's gone down to her forearms. Like at a point of practice, if your wrists feel like there's too much tension, forearms is perfect. It doesn't have to happen every single time, right? Every vinyasa, whatever. Whenever you feel it though, listen into your body, do what it needs. Bend your knee, open your hip. And truly get your hips as stacked as possible while keeping your shoulders square. So bring your left shoulder down. Yeah. So all the opening is here in your left hip. Good. Look underneath your right shoulder, or your right armpit. See your foot in the air, and bring it to the floor to flip your dog. Turn your toes to face the back of your mat. Go up and back. So you notice here, Elizabeth is doing flip dog on this side. That's because this shoulder works for her to flip dog. So that's what I mean about one side being different than another side. Perfect. She's got it here. Drop your head back. Flex your foot. It's in the air. Yeah. Pull your toes towards your shin. Breathe in. Come back around. High plank. Stack your shoulders right on top of your wrists. Press down into your fingertips. Feet together. Side plank facing the front of the room. Choose your foot variation, commit to it, and then bring action to your feet. Spread out your toes, pull your toes towards your shin, and knit your lower rib cage together. So your lower ribs hug in, yes, that's the core right there. Like in Journey into Power, in this vinyasa class, you can seriously be doing like a 1 hour, however long the class is, like abdominal workout. If you really hug in, lower belly, lower ribs, the whole time. It's like you're doing crunches, but better. Take a big breath in. High to low plank, breathe out. Upward facing dog, lift. Downward facing dog, breathe out. And left side, take a big breath in. Open your mouth side out. Lift your heels up, inhale. Bend your knees, look forward, step or hop. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Halfway lift, lengthen, shoulders together, forward fold. Chair pose. Bring your hands to your heart. Now lift your shoulders up towards your ears, so like no neck, and then draw your shoulders straight back. They'll naturally go down a little bit. So draw your scapulas in towards the center of your body, and twist towards the right. So in twisting, it's really important to not allow your lower body to get all cattywampus like this, right? So pull your, let's see, it's your left knee back if it went forward. Squeeze your legs in. So Jody has her elbow on the outside of her leg. And then Rick is kind of in the middle, scooching and working towards that. And then you'll notice Rachel, she's got a really great modification to not quite go so deep into the twist for whatever reason. Lower back stuff, could be knees. And then Elizabeth here has her arms open, reaching her left fingertips to the floor. All really, really good options. One more breath in. Pull your belly and twist deeper. Bow forward. Fingers to toes, forward fold. So take your peace fingers, wrap it around your big toes. So if you're super flexible, it's really common to want to lock your knees out in forward folds in general, but especially these. You just want to keep a little teeny micro bend. And if you consider yourself inflexible or like one of those people, I can't touch my toes, which is where I was when I started yoga, and you just bend your knees a lot, and then you can touch your feet. Okay, so grab down, bend your elbows, pull your body toward your thighs, totally drop your head. Maybe even give it a gentle shake side to side, just to release any tension. Okay, release chair pose. Right, choose big toes to touch or your feet separated at hip distance. Press your heels into the floor and start to pull them away from each other. Hands to your heart. Twist to the left. And then pull this knee back. Yes. Knees in one line. That's going to keep your hips in one line. So all the twists can happen here, right where it matters, right into your organs. Draw your shoulder blades together on your back. Pull your right shoulder back slightly to twist more. Breathe in. Squeeze in and breathe out. One more time, breathe in. Bow forward. Gorilla pose. So slide the palms of your hands underneath the soles of your feet. Again, bend as much as you need to. So you may notice Ujjayi breath is heat building in your body. So there's no heat out of the studio right now, and they're sweating. And they're sweating not only because they're doing the work and really putting in like foundation, drishti, but Ujjayi breath, that belly breath that builds fire, tapas, like in your body. So like, yeah, there's little droplets of sweat, makes me so happy. Okay, release your feet. Crow pose. So crow pose is an arm balance. And it can be done with both feet up off the floor. If you know crow, like Rick is going into it, yeah, and he's struggling, yeah, and his head comes down, and that's it. Boom. And Rachel, she's doing 1 foot off the floor at a time. Drishti forward. And Elizabeth has a block underneath her forehead. That's just great. She's just gently resting it there. It's not like mushing into the block though. She's doing all the work with her core. And people come down, you can come back into it. Work on 5 breaths, like straight up in crow, and then take a quick break. You guys can move into crow number 2. Elizabeth's just gonna stay. She's not coming down unless I push her over. Really important is drishti forward. The moment you look back and towards your feet, a somersault could occur. Okay, so drishti forward. And if crow is a no-go for you altogether with wrist stuff, malasana is what Elizabeth is doing right now. So it's toes out, heels in, hips to the floor, hands to your heart. Okay, down dog. Breathe in. Through your nose, breathe out. Rise high on your toes, inhale. Bend your knees, look forward, hopper step. Halfway lift, bow. Mountain pose, inhale. Eagle pose, right arm under. Lift your right leg, wrap it up and over. I like to think of the bottom half of my body in eagle pose as one leg. So squeeze and tighten your legs together as much as you can. So it's really as if you just are on one leg. And for your foot, you can take it to the outside of your shin and hug it in. You could wrap it all the way around. Or even if you want a little extra support, your right toes can be on the floor to give you a little extra space. Whatever you do with your right foot, draw it in towards the center line, where your right and your left side meet. Draw your elbows up towards shoulder height. Tilt your tailbone down to make space in your low back. Mountain pose, inhale. Eagle, left side, left arm under, left leg over. Let's talk about the arms. So, right, this could be the arms here, all the way wrapped together. Let's see it from this angle too. Other options are here, forearms together, or I love what Rachel's doing. She has the back of her hands together, elbows out a little bit wider. And the work for Rachel here is to draw her elbows in toward each other. Right? It's just that you may not have mobility here in your chest or even shoulders to get your elbows to touch. That's fine. Going for your edge, your limit in the pose. Squeeze in, breathe in. Pull your left hip back. Nice, breathe in. Belly in, exhale. Mountain pose, rise up, inhale. Hands to your heart. Standing leg raise. Bring your right knee into your chest. And grab a hold of your shin, that's option one. You can also reach for your toes. And even if you can't straighten your front leg, when you reach for your toes, you don't have to. You can always grab your toes and have a super big bend, okay? Take your right leg out towards the right. Open your hip. Drishti, either forward or look over your left shoulder. And add in breath. So easy to stop breathing in balancing poses or poses where it's like, oh, I'm gonna fall over if I breathe. Breathe anyway, and if you fall, you fall. Now, you start again. Bring your right leg back to front of you. Reach your arms to the ceiling, straighten your leg and lift your toes up towards the ceiling. Breathe in. Airplane pose. Take it slow and keep your hips level and square. So rotate your right thigh down and in. Bringing your right hip towards the floor. So Jody, if you can go down a little bit more. Yes. Same thing here. If making an adjustment in the pose makes you fall out of the pose, you just simply begin again. The yoga mat is an amazing opportunity for you to, fall, to fail at something and just get right back up, right? Half moon, hands to your heart first. And you can take your left hand down to the floor if you can reach. Block is an amazing tool here to really get the floor lifted up to you and bring more possibility into the foundation of your half moon. Hey, Rachel's even got 2 blocks, so she's stellar like that. Okay, so talk about leg rotations. The standing leg, your left leg, is externally rotating. So press down into your left foot and create an external rotation in your thigh. And then the top leg, your right leg, is internally rotating. So I like to think of it as lifting the heel up towards the ceiling, not the toes. But if you lift the heel, you'll create an inward rotation on your lifted leg. Breathe in. Stay in, breathe out. Elizabeth has got a bind here. You just bring your knee to your chest if you want, and then grab your leg like that, and that's where you go into the bind there. Then you come out, you come in. Bow forward. And shake your standing leg out, shake your lifted leg out. How you guys doing? Good. I love that you're sweating. It makes me so happy. Okay, halfway lift, breathe in. Forward fold, soften your knees. Rise up, mountain pose. Ooh, then hands to your heart, press your palms together. Standing leg raise, left side. Okay, and this side does not have to be the same as the last. Bring action to your left foot, then open your leg towards the left. Drishti. Ujjayi breath. Press your right foot down into the floor. Bring your leg back to center. Arms up, left leg straight out. Look at one point, breathe in. Airplane pose. Great modification to airplane is keeping your back foot on the floor like Rachel here. And she might, in a couple breaths, lift her foot up a little bit, maybe need the floor to support her again. Same thing with Rick, he's just playing with balance, knowing that when your foot comes to the floor, that's what's happening. That's it. Your foot's coming to the floor. Doesn't make the pose better or worse than anything else. Rotate your left hip down, inward. Go way lower, Jody. I know you can. Takes a lot of work to get your hips square here. Yes, yes, Okay, now open your hips. Half moon. Right hand down. Almost made you fall over, almost. Okay, pull your toes towards your shin. Lift your heel, your left heel, to the ceiling. You can play around with your balance by doing, Elizabeth's got her hand up at her heart, her right hand. Yeah, and then if she ever needs the floor is just right there. Right? The earth is there to support you. And create those external rotations. The external rotation in your right leg, internal rotation of your left. Take the pose to your limit, to where it's like you may just not be able to hold it any longer. That's your limit, okay? It's not pain, it's not going beyond where your body can truly stretch. It's really getting out of your comfort zone, trying something maybe you haven't tried before, and possibly falling out of the pose. Consider if you hold the pose and you look like a beautiful gazelle, you're not at your edge. Most of the time. Bow forward. Shake it out. Halfway lift, big length in your spine. High to low plank, breathe out. Upward facing dog, inhale, open your chest. Downward facing dog, exhale. Warrior one, right side. Warrior two, open up. Now parallel the back edge of your left foot with the back edge of your mat. Press down into the outer edge of your left foot, really rooting into your mat. Straighten your front leg, triangle pose. So both legs are straight and triangle, and just a little bit of softness in each knee. And really, really actually focus on that, because it's easy to lock your knee out and not know it's locked. And just not have awareness around it. So like if you're not even sure, just give your knees a little bit of bend. A little bend, maybe start to straighten some more. Yeah. Press your feet down into the earth. Tilt your tailbone down toward the back of your left knee. Think about that. Your tailbone down towards the back of your left knee. Lift your hip points. Those hip points here up towards your ribs. Squeeze your belly in. Take your body up, maybe even back. Rise up to stand. Front facing forward fold. So right towards the 12 o'clock, right where they were. Pull your back foot up. Couple options with your hands. You do reverse namaste. You bring your hands to a prayer position back behind you. Even Rick's doing this to make it accessible for his shoulders by pointing his fingers down. Okay? You can also grab your hands together, forearms, or even this nice little rinse. Then bringing your hands together doesn't work. You can always grab a strap. You can grab a strap here for Rachel. And so her hands aren't quite together. She wants to bring them together. She can grab hold of the strap, and ta-da! That bridge is gapped, or the gap is bridged. you know what I mean. Let's talk about hips. Lift your right hip up slightly. You have to square your hips. Breathe. Just like triangle, this is another straight leg pose with just some softness, right? Softness in your knees, and if you ever needed more than just a little bend, you can take more. High plank. Take a breath in here. Slowly lower to low plank. Up dog, inhale. Downward facing dog, breathe out. Warrior one, left side. Inhale up. Warrior two, open your arms. Get your feet. Engage your legs. Straighten your front leg. Triangle pose. Reach forward. And I did mention this before, but the block is almost always necessary in triangle pose. Just again, depending on your flexibility and stuff, but it's just a great way to feel more supported. Because triangle, try 3 points of contact on the floor. Versus just kind of having your arm flailing somewhere, really press it down into something. Yeah, so right, if your fingers don't come to the floor, actually press them into a block. So you're pressing down. And yeah, you want to press down until there's like white at the base of what you're pressing. So the white at the bottom of your foot, white at your hands from pressing into the earth. Beautiful. Soften your knees a bit. Tilt your tailbone back and down towards your right knee. Engage your low belly, breathe in. Open up, breathe out. Lift to stand. Side facing forward bend, and that's going to be facing front, towards knee. So parallel the outside edge of your feet with the front and back of your mat. Soften your knees, hands to your hips. Inhale, look up. Bow forward, hinging from your hip joint. You drop the crown of your head towards the floor. The crown of your head may touch the floor. You can also grab a block. It's perfect. Grab a block so you have somewhere to rest your head. It's totally fine if it's dangling as well. There's different arm variations you can take. You can reach for your ankles, your big toes, or just hands right down to the floor. Breathe. And drop the crown of your head. Front facing forward fold, lift up. Turn your left toes to face 12 o'clock in front of your mat. Walk your back foot in as much as you need to. You want to walk your back foot in to where you can fully press your heel and everything down into the ground. Choose your arm variation and bow forward over your front left leg. If you're not choosing hands behind your back, which is fine, you take your hands down to the floor for support like Rachel has. Even if you needed blocks to bring the floor up to you, that's a great opportunity to use them as well. Drishti. You might notice Elizabeth has her head totally dropped, so her eyes are back. And then Rick is looking straight down. So he's doing a little bit more work with the muscles back here at the back of his neck to look forward and down, but it works for him. So really drishti wherever, as long as it's on purpose and in one point. Plant your hands on the mat, high plank. Yeah, so like halfway through the practice, you may feel fatigued. You may be like, I know what's next, so I check out and really stay in it. Bring in more breath. More core engagement, so lift your core up towards your spine. Take out the curve. Right, so take out the curve. That's right up here, right there. Yeah. Breathe in. For the count of 5, lower to your mat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Got little push-ups going on there. Take one cheek to the mat. Rest your neck. Switch to the opposite cheek. Locust pose. Reach your hands back behind you by your sides. Turn your palms to face the floor. Lift your chest and legs up. So foundation is your hip points here. So press them down to the floor. Lift everything else up. And turn your feet to 12 o'clock. So notice that they're turning out and draw them in. Spread out your toes. Modification for locust is to keep your feet on the floor and press like the toenail side of your foot, right? The top of your foot down into the mat. Lower down. Bend your knees and take your shins side to side. Okay, back bend number 2. 2 options, floor bow or locust pose. And the other option, there's 3 options. There's always so many. Is to take one foot at a time, like Rachel's doing here. So we got floor bow, flex your feet, and if you can grab your ankles so you can really truly flex your feet, do that. Otherwise, grabbing your foot is fine. And yeah, switch sides, Rachel. So she's gonna switch sides halfway through. She gets full, and I love this. Shoulder blades together on your back. Okay, flex your feet, Rick. Can you flex your feet more? Yes, there you go. Lower down. Your legs are already bent, so just take your shins side to side. Upward dog. Plant your hands near your lower rib cage. Tops of your feet down. Lift up, breathe in. Downward facing dog. Use your core to lift you up and back. Walk to the front of your mat. Camel pose. So any knee issues, you want to roll up your mat so you have some extra cushion. Or if you have like a sweat towel, you can roll that up too. Standing on your knees. You'll see there's different things happening in their feet. Some feet are on the floor, flat. Others are tucking their toes. Whatever works best for you. Start with your hands to your low back. Gently press your hips forward. Lift your chest, go up and back. With your head here. You can choose what Rachel's doing. She's just totally engaged everywhere, just not dropping her head back. Elizabeth's taking an arm variation. Beautiful. Head back. And breath changes. Your Ujjayi breath is totally going to change when you're next in this position. Just stay with it. Know that you're going to be fine. It might feel weird and a little constricted. You got it. Stay with it. Press your hips forward. Pull your belly in. Slowly come up. Bring your head up last. Hero's pose. Sit your hips down to your heels. If it doesn't feel good to get all the way down there, you can always grab a block and place a block in between. Just sit a little bit higher. Might feel better on you. Camel number 2. Camel number 2. Stack your hips right on top of your knees. That's where they stay. Drishti, Ujjayi, camel. Camel it out. And get to, take your awareness to your pelvic floor, so in between your legs. It's like below that low space in your belly. Lift it up and in. It's your Mula Bandha. Pull it up and in. Take your chest up and go back. Drop your head, even more, relax. Ujjayi breath. Shoulder blades together. Press your hips forward. Come up slow. Come to your back. Totally did it. I dropped Mula Bandha in the video, guys. Okay, bridge pose. Feet at 12, hip distance, rise up. So hips towards the ceiling. Rachel's got a block for supported bridge. So your hips in this pose, still neutral pelvis. So lift your hip points towards your rib cage. Shorten the distance in your core, nice grip. Tilt your tailbone, it's going to scoop up towards the ceiling. Press both feet into the floor. Engage your low belly. Breathe. Lower down. Then move your knees side to side, relax your low back. Lift up again, bridge pose. A couple arm variations. You can have your hands just by your sides. You can shimmy your shoulders under your back, clasp your hands. I bet Jody doing that in the back. Great. Lower down. Side to side with your knees. We call this a resting breath. Now bridge or wheel pose. You'll often hear us call wheel. You always have the option to do bridge. Rise up. Wheel pose is here. Okay, and Elizabeth is really working to get her feet at 12 o'clock. Because sometimes it's easier to start with your feet out, and she pulls them in to hug in, doing a lot of work here to stay up. Yeah, we've got Rachel here. She has her hands in wheel position, but she's still taking supported bridge. Great alternative. Nice, Rick. Start to straighten your arms, press into your hands. There you go. Tuck your chin slowly in wheel. Come down. Yeah, side to side with your knees. Up again, wheel or bridge pose. Go. Toes at 12 o'clock. It's okay if they're out for a little bit, then bring them in, rein them in. And then as if you had a block between your thighs, squeeze your legs toward each other. How's that feel, Jody? Good. Good, she says. Take it away. So I'm going to try to take it away, and I can't because she's squeezing in so much. Okay, got it. Down. All right. Side to side with your knees. All right, let's do one more. Bridge or wheel, yogi's choice. Come up. And check in with your toes. See if you're gripping the floor with your toes, and instead, spread your toes out wide and get to the base of your big toe, the base of your pinky toe, the center of your heel. Drive them down into the floor. Lift everything else up. And lower down. Supta Baddha Konasana. The soles of your feet together, with your knees out wide. This is really great and neutral for your spine. If it doesn't feel great, however, Rachel, will you show the knees? Oh, you guys are so good. Knees together, so it's like the opposite. So instead of your knees out, you're knocked in, and your feet are on the outside of the mat. So Rachel's doing it right then. your eyes open, looking at one spot right above you. Take your legs straight up to the ceiling. Flex your feet. And work to get your ankles right on top of your hips. So you can come up a little bit more. And if you need to bend your knees a little bit, that's okay. There's a lot of work even in just holding right here. So draw your belly down towards your mat. So your spine is flat to the floor. Take scissor legs, right leg down, 2 inches from the mat. You can also take it halfway down. If your back starts to lift and arch, then just go halfway down. Switch legs. Left leg down, right leg up. Soften your shoulders. Yeah. Switch. Switch. Go at your own pace now. You'll notice Elizabeth is here. She has her chest lifting up towards the ceiling and supporting her head off the mat. Just brings a little bit extra, like a bit of like a top of a crunch. And everybody else is just down on the ground, and that cue to soften shoulders. Look, Rick, you soften your shoulders. Yeah, it's really easy to clench up and to tense up here. Take all of the tension to your core. All of the tension, all of your attention. Take 2 more each side. Flex your feet. Yes, good, wait. After your 2, draw your knees to your chest. The chest rock side to side. And then rock up into a seated position. And step back to downward dog. Draw your shoulder blades toward each other. Lift your hips up. Take your right leg high, 3-legged dog, inhale. Half pigeon right side. So on your belly, half pigeon, right knee to right wrist. Pull your right toes up towards your left wrist. You can pop a block underneath your right hip. So give yourself some more space like Rachel. Then forearms on the floor, you can walk them forward, bringing more space in the sides of your body. So many different arm variations. So Elizabeth here, she's got child's pose arms reaching straight forward and long. Rachel on the forearms, and then I always like to support my neck and forehead, so here you go, Rachel. She can take a block under her forehead so it's not just hanging down. The hip rotations here, so your bent leg, your front right leg, it's actually externally rotated. So think about your right thigh right now, and externally rotate it, moving it out and away from your body. Then your left leg, the leg that's straight back, inward rotation. So left hip down towards the floor. And in this assist here, that's all I'm doing. I'm just gently giving the rotation to her thighs, just like as a little reminder of which way the effectiveness comes to this pose is from those rotations. Up, back to down bow. 3-legged dog left side, lift up. Half pigeon left side. And is one you want to show half pigeon on your back? To show what that looks like? Oh, Rachel, who's got it? I can do it too, I suppose, but. Okay, so half pigeon, same thing on this side. Again, you might feel a little bit different. And you may take half pigeon one side of your belly and one side on your back. So for Rachel, what she's doing, she's totally relaxing her upper body, tailbones on the ground, shoulders on the ground. Then making a figure 4. Can you get your ankle past? Try to get your ankle past your thighs as much as you can. Here you go. Flex your feet. And for Rachel, she's got the support of her blocks and her foot on the floor. And others of you may reach for your thigh of the bent leg and pull in, but this is just like enough for her right here. And you'll see if you you see that it's really the half pigeon position just on your back. You may think like, go off into thinking here. It's really easy to do in the pose that we hold. Really stay here and focus on Ujjayi breath. It's still very important, even at this harder point of class. And you might think like, I'm winding down, why do I want to build heat? You actually want to keep everything you've created, keep it present in your body, so continue Ujjayi. Rise up, swing your right leg around, seated forward fold. Take both legs forward, press them together. Look at your toes and hold your toes toward your face. Reach your arms to the ceiling. Inhale, big stretch in your sides. Bow forward, hinging from your hips. You start to hinge from your waist, right, flexing your spine. And keep as flat of a spine as possible. It's a great place to bend your knees. Or if you can't quite reach your feet, you can use a strap wrapping around the bottom of your feet and then holding on to either side. Stick your strap here. Yeah, so if you really want your straight legs the whole time, right here with the strap. Ujjayi breath. Lay onto your back. Inversion. So an inversion is a pose where your hips are above your heart. So supported bridge, that's where Rachel's headed, the blocks underneath her back. And it's just the low back, the flat side of your low back. Shoulder stands an option. Got Elizabeth, Rick, Jody there. Yeah, so she could do it. Rachel was in supported bridge with her feet on the floor, and now this is waterfall. Feet up towards the ceiling. It's really important to keep your head and neck in one position, looking straight up at the ceiling versus side to side. And then flex your feet, everybody. Pull your toes down towards your face. So heels up, yeah. And those of you in shoulder stand, walk your elbows in toward each other. Just kind of a little plow pose. Take your feet back behind you. Listen to your body, especially your neck. But if you get to a point where your legs feel too heavy, then you pause there or maybe back off a little bit. You can keep your hands at your low back for support. Rick has them here laid flat. Now they're all laying them flat, yeah. Either way. There's an option too to reach your hands back for your feet, like Elizabeth is doing there. Slowly bring your back down to the mat. So for waterfall, best way to do it is bring your feet back to the floor to a supported bridge. Lift your hips, remove your blocks. Rachel's a pro. Supine twist. Bring your right knee into your chest. Give it a big squeeze first. Then guide your right leg towards the left side of your mat. And come up onto your left hip. So you want to stack your hips here on the ground, so the low back has a flat line coming all the way up. It could be that that's too much for you, and you can grab a block. You can place the block underneath your knee for more support. I'll show this on the other side so you can see it. Just like that. And switch sides. Send your right leg long, left knee in, get a big squeeze, take it up and over. You might even scoot your right hip over to the left to get it underneath your body. And then here's the block trick here. If it's a little too much, you can always place your knee onto the block. And both shoulders, keep them on your mat. So it's going to be the opposite shoulder that wants to lift. Stay grounded. And come back to center. What comes next? Final Shavasana. Okay. So Shavasana is like rest for your body. It's, oh, sorry, geez. It's as important as your warrior one. It's as important as your ujjayi breath, your drishti. You know, everything in this practice works together. And it's, especially if you're doing a home practice, a lot of times, like me personally, I'm like, oh, I don't need Shavasana, I get to go to bed later tonight. And it's the best way for your body to end a practice like this. It's just in full relaxation. Sensories, like all, everything closed, your mouth closed, just breathing naturally, eyes closed. Your knees up toward your chest. Squeeze them in and rock side to side. Roll to your right side, keeping your eyes closed. Press yourself up into a seat. Just going to face whatever direction you were. Hands to your heart. Take a deep breath in. Breathe out. One Om. Fill up. Thumbs up to your forehead center. Reach the crown of your head up. Inhale. Bow forward. Namaste.
Namaste.